Something feels differently lately for me around some what I would consider very pivotal relationships that I've had in my life. And I wanted to come on here and share with you and ask you if you've been going through the same thing. I think that there's a lot going on in the world, and we are we are all evolving, and we are all growing and changing as we witness what's happening with the world around us and how the people that we know respond to what's going on around in the world. And often when we are on a self-awareness journey and we want to grow and change, and we see where there's been lack of clarity, where the places where we need to heal, the places where we want to grow, and we step on that path and we do work. We do work on ourselves, we do work on our lives. We take some uncomfortable steps forward for the greater good, knowing that as we grow and change and evolve, that things can only get better. And it can be really upsetting when coming to this place of being more healed, more coherent, feeling more whole within ourselves, feeling like we are seeing the truth of who we are in our lives, and then others around us aren't doing that work, or maybe they're doing work but they're not doing the kind of work that we are. And it can feel overwhelming. There can be a grief around seeing that certain things have changed in those that we really care about. Again, people that have been really important on our path. And it can be very much like, why is this happening? Like, I thought that I was on the same page with someone here. And then you realize that perhaps you were on the same page at a certain point in your life, and you came together and really learned some good things, and they pushed you to grow. And in that growth, you see where maybe they chose to go on a different path. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about some of my experiences and what I think is going on with me. Have you ever noticed that it happens all at once? That all of a sudden you're seeing everything in your life differently and from a new perspective. And that sense of clarity is so welcome and yet so overwhelming at the same time, because you have this feeling of, was this something that I never saw? Did I change? Did they change? How come all of a sudden all the relationships in my life seem to be, playing musical chairs where everybody is getting up and moving around, and you sit back down when the music is over, and you realize that certain people are not sitting down anymore, and that you have maybe some new people around you, maybe some people that have been in your life but not as much. And it's really, really interesting. I had two experiences at the same exact time where different people in my life just weren't aligned with me anymore. And one experience was someone that I'm in a training program with. And we started the program together, and we really were a wonderful support for each other, helping each other integrate the knowledge that we were learning and the experiences that we were having. And I began to really go into this place that was very deep, and wanting to really stretch myself and to really go deeper into my training experience. And really wanting to find the right mentors and the right people to, in a way, after I'd gotten to like a certain point, like a maybe top of the mountain kind of point, it was then time to kind of go back down and start again. Go to that place of the nothing, of beginner's mind, and and clean the slate so that I could rebuild new skills from a stronger perspective. And for this particular friend of mine, that meant kind of not being acknowledged. They felt they were ready to do so much more. And it was really hard for me to relate to someone that didn't want to go as deep, or someone who felt they were so much more ready than they really actually were, and didn't have that understanding of the work it takes to be great, to be exceptional. Have you experienced that, where it's almost like you are seen as the person who is slowing down or not acknowledging yourself, when really you're putting your ego on the back seat, in the back seat? And it can be really, it can be a real kind of a mind, like a mind turn, a turning of the mind to be like, wait a second, how come, you know, how come I'm okay with not having a label? And maybe it's because what I realize is that the label isn't important. What's important is doing the work, being honest with yourselves, and walking a more humble path to where you want to go. Has this kind of thing happened to you in a romantic relationship? It can be really hard when you feel like you really were at the same place as someone, and then as you get to know them, which is intimacy, whether it's our friendships, whatever relationships we have in our life that we're creating more depth around, you get to know people in such a way where, there's this misalignment now. And in a way, the intimacy that was created, which is so profound for us, it makes us deeper people. We get to know ourselves more. We really learn about what we want, what we don't want. We become stronger, more confident. And then it's almost like that in itself is what causes this misalignment. And that can be, it's almost, it can feel like a betrayal in our deep, closest relationships. And so what can we do? I think the best thing to do is to really ask ourselves, who we are, what do we want? How is this relationship valuable? What did it bring for me? And then know that it's okay that you have changed and that you are where you want to be. You can't be anywhere else in the present moment than where you are, and neither can they. But to ground into a place of knowing that you are creating the container for yourself to bring in people and situations and environments that are on the path of where you want to go next. And it can be really sad and really jarring. And again, it can feel like a kind of betrayal when you realize you have to leave certain people behind, or the relationship shifts. Maybe they stay your friend, but you don't get quite as vulnerable with them anymore, or there are people that you don't share certain things with anymore, or if it's a romantic partner or lover, you realize that you've gotten everything you've needed from it, and it is okay to let it go. Because that is choosing yourself, and the relationship with self is the primary relationship, because we can't completely be ourselves with others until we're being ourselves with ourselves and having those private conversations with ourselves and those moments with ourselves. And if you want to continue to be somebody who is completely radically honest with yourself, then that means getting clear about who you can be radically honest with. And sometimes we find out things about people as we move along the path with them that they're not quite who we thought they were. Or they could go down a certain, do a certain amount of work with you that was important, but they are not meant to go on the rest of the journey with you, at least not now. And maybe it could change. So should you bother speaking with this person? Should I bother speaking with them? Is what I asked myself, and I think it's very individual and personal. As someone said to me, you're not bothering for them, you're bothering for yourself. So what information are you trying to get? What do you need? Is there some kind of closure that you think you're going to get by speaking with this person? Is there some kind of validation? Do you want them to say that you're right? Do you need to somehow have evidence of the shift that's gone on with them, or the shifts that haven't gone on with them? Do you need it to kind of really be a benchmarker for yourself and how you've changed and shifted? Can you be unattached to the outcome? I tried speaking with someone, and the person got really defensive. And I was trying to decide, do I go back and talk about how I felt about that person being defensive with me? And, for me, after I kind of sat with it, I realized that I had all the information that I needed. I did actually end up having a dinner with this person again, and I thought, is there an opening? Can I say how I felt or how it made me feel when in that situation I felt judged? I didn't feel good about what was said to me. It was a shock to me that after we've had this closeness, that you would get defensive and judgmental, and it shocked me that that was in your personality. And there was a moment in speaking with them where I kind of I got distracted, and I found myself, it was very hard for me to listen to them, even though there was nothing wrong with the conversation, everything was going fine. It kind of seemed like normal or the same, but it wasn't, because I had had this new experience with them. And in a way, they had had a new experience with me. Speaking up for myself in a certain way, saying how I really felt. And for me, telling them my personal truth about what was happening or how I felt about what was going on with them, it was an intimate moment for me. And it was a place where in the past I wouldn't have been able to go. I would have been like, oh, it's none of my business. I'm not going to say anything. It's their life. But I realized out of caring, I wanted to be truthful, and I got defensiveness back. And as I had this new conversation with them and I was feeling into this moment, should I say something? It didn't feel right. Like within my body, it never felt right. And when the moment kind of came, when there was that little bit of an opening that maybe I could or should say something, because I should be defending myself, I should be expressing how I feel, they should know, it did not feel right in the body for me in that moment. because I had had an experience of what it was like to be honest, to be myself, to be authentic, to be what I thought was caring, to have a different opinion, a different perspective than them, as opposed to really what had been pretty much constant agreeance, right, in the relationship. And I was like, no, it doesn't feel right. And I had to be honest with myself that I had gotten all the information I had needed before, and I was getting all the information I needed now by listening to my body and knowing that it didn't feel safe to be completely myself. And so that's my experience. And if you're going through these types of things and you're feeling a little bit differently about certain people in your life, whether they be, again, romantic partners, your family, your friends, people at work, just to feel into it, because maybe you do need to express yourself, and you're only going to know that by being in the moment, being present with yourself, and really listening to how you feel. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for listening to my musings. I super appreciate it. My name is Kristen. This channel is In the Good. And if you're curious and want to continue on this journey as I evolve in how I express myself here on YouTube to you, then definitely hit the subscribe button, because I'd love to have you as a member of the fam. I go live 4 or 5 days a week. I do work with me, journal with me, kind of introspective lives with chill music. And it's really just come as you are, come be yourself, come connect in, like do nothing, do everything, just be in a space that I am holding, a container that is calm, where you can regulate your nervous system, where you can look into the chat and find some cool journal prompts or inspirational quotes and mantras. And the flow is very much like work for 20 minutes, journal for 20 minutes, meditate for 20 minutes, do laundry for 20 minutes, do work for 2 hours. It's really just something that I'm enjoying hosting, and I hope to see you there. So until we meet again, and we'll always meet again at the exact right moment. Bye.